The National with Ian Hannamansing.
Good evening. People near Cuttknife, Saskatchewan are still in a state of shock. Last night, severe tornadoes ripped through their community. The storm also carried heavy rains and hail, and it caused extensive damage. At least 8 people were taken to a hospital.
We weren't that far out of Cuttknife when all of a sudden that storm was upon us. And when you normally see a tornado, you see that tornado coming. We never saw that. All we saw was a black wall of miles of dust. So we had no idea that it was a tornado.
The storm hit in the early evening. Many of the homes are now gone. Their contents lie nearby. Nothing more than piles of rubble.
My husband said, "Here we go." And the car picked up and rolled. At some point, I could feel wet grass on my arm. And we landed up on the other side of the fence, upside down.
A 2-month-old baby landed here after being thrown 15 meters by a tornado. He and his mother were sucked from their house. Only the foundations remain. The grandmother says both are in hospital. The child has serious head injuries.
They were able to help us get back to Cuttknife, to the hospital to get checked out. My mother-in-law had a dislocated thumb. I had a big goose egg on the back of my head and a cut on my hand, and there was no power at the hospital, and the doctor was running around in the dark and broke his toe because he couldn't see where he was going.
On this farm, the granaries are battered and toppled. The barn roof is torn off. A long piece of steel is lodged in the wall of the house. High winds rammed it through. In the town of Cuttknife, homes are damaged. Trees litter most of the yards and streets.
It just is one of those things that never really goes away. But for many years, I was terrified. It did cause some panic attacks when we were caught in storms on the highway in years to come. I had started a fairly new job. I hadn't been there very long, and we had moved into a new office, and somebody came in and said that there was a tornado warning. And so I instantly froze, went outside, assessed the sky, decided I could make it home to my basement because there was no basement at this workplace. And I just got in my car and left. I never said anything to anybody. I just left and went home. So then my boss happens to come back in and she's phoning me and like, "Is everything okay? What happened?" And then I was like, "Oh, I never did tell you my tornado story." So
just hours apart, tornadoes touched down near Foam Lake, Manitou Beach, and Simrick.
It took many years to not instantly panic. I'm a breast cancer survivor of 6.5 years. And I think it was probably at that time when you just can't live in fear. So whether it's tornadoes or a reoccurrence or anything like that, it totally changed my mindset about things. So I'm cautious, and I might get that little intake of breath when you first hear about a tornado in the area, but I don't want to live my life in fear.